Kennedy Tsimba is the name, 2012 Hall of Fame, World Rugby Hall of Fame inductee, a passionate and ambitious rugby player and coach.
My name is Paul Anthony. At present, I'm Director of Rugby at Pretoria Boys High School.
I work for the Vodacom Bulls.
I've got 7 Springbok caps.
I've coached the Blue Bulls Craven Week side 5 years.
I'm from Garsfontein High School.
Head coach of Office.
The winners of the Blue Bulls Rugby Selectors Panel.
Stop talking now.
Yeah, well, okay. You can take the bad stuff out.
I will keep talking the whole day.
Let's do that again.
You guys must make a joke thing of all the funny clips.
Good morning, I'm Reiner van der Merwe. I'm the head of rugby at Office, Afrikaans Oorseenskool, and I'm also the Craven Week under 18 Academy coach.
I attended every single Craven Week, Round Como and Senior Craven Week, I think since 2011.
Provincial level, I coach all the levels in Blue Bulls Rugby.
You can't speak about South African rugby without mentioning Craven Week.
I was understudy to Nas Botha, so it's a weird thing. I've still got those little caps.
I think Craven Week is special.
And it's difficult to put it into words.
If you are a schoolboy rugby player, that must be your dream.
We literally want to be the best in the province, and that's where Craven Week comes in.
It's a culmination of an 18-year-old showing on a national stage how good a rugby player is and also how healthy rugby is in South Africa.
They know if they perform well in the Craven Week, they're halfway there on making a career out of rugby for them.
It was where it all started. If I look back, that's memories that I will always cherish.
It makes you dare to dream and push yourself.
Doesn't matter what we tell ourselves, that's the pinnacle of South African rugby, and that's where you want to go.
Quote me on that. That's my philosophy.
Nice break. Oh, it's a beautiful break by the scrum half. George Erasmus getting support from Thabo Mabuza. Great stop from the full.
Pass out by Flask, now into space. One man to beat it, he does it!
The Bulls win the Coca-Cola Craven Week final 2012.
South African schoolboy rugby is important because I think that's for me is the most purest of rugby you can get anywhere in South Africa. I mean, when you're at school, it's everything, but when you leave school, I mean, there's so many stories to share. It all comes from being able to play rugby at school, eh?
My Craven Week experience was something amazing. It was also something as a young boy that I've dreamed of. And also to measure myself against the best guys in the world.
It is the foundation, as you would say. You know, the younger ones at primary school are looking up to playing Craven Week, and the older ones are probably looking back to wanting to play Craven Week.
It's a lot of different cultures and personalities and types and players and everyone coming from different demographics and different schools getting together. And it is the pinnacle of schoolboy rugby.
I advanced through the ranks to taking the academy sides, and then I was ultimately selected to coach the Craven Week. And the guy who assisted me then was way more experienced than me as a Craven Week coach in Jimmy Stonehouse. Now I'm going to give you the story, and I hope Jimmy's not going to mind, because I'd been picked as Craven Week coach, and Jimmy was my assistant. Now, Jimmy, by his own admission, wasn't happy with that. And I went down to the first practice at Boys and I got all the boys together and we started doing drills, and Jimmy was on the grandstand. And I was working hard with the guys and I was waiting for Jimmy. After a while he came over. He's going to laugh when he hears this. And he said, Englishman, yeah, I'll work with you, you can coach. We've been mates like this. I mean, ever since then, I have huge respect for that guy. And then they left me with the team I actually had the team for 4 years, which was fantastic, you know. And our best year was when we had a really super team. You've got to have a good team to win. And that team, we won everything. We won every solitary single game.
Farson sends it out. They've got an overlap here if they can use it. Kotzer sending it out wide. Vartamer! Try!
Happy?
Again. They're working players into space here. The long one over the top. They must score, and that's a brilliant try. And that is the end of the game. And the Bulls have won this final match of the 43rd Craven Week by 55 points to 20. There's their coach, Paul Anthony, taking the celebration.
We were an unbelievable team. Man, they could move the ball from anywhere. They could kick well. Stefan Vartemer, in actual fact, broke Derek Helgaard's record then for the most points scored by an individual at a Craven Week. One of the most amazing teams I've ever coached.
In 2002-2003 is when Currie Cup level the Bulls were really good. I think they won the Currie Cup in 2003 and they might have been in the final 2002 from memory. My memory is not great. But also it's when Heineke Meyer started to come to the union, and there was a legacy that was built over the next 10 to 15 years at the Bulls. So it was quite the beginning of the glory days, you could put it that way, at the Bulls in those years.
2003-04. When you played the Bulls, it just felt like a wave.
Yes.
You can't stop it.
That Craven Week team, the 2002 team, funny enough, the Proteas batsman, AB de Villiers was the fly-off of that team. Derek Kuhn from Affies, who led that team, who obviously went on to play many games for the Bulls at Super Rugby level and win Super Rugby games for them. The 2003 team had P.S. Spies led the team as an 8-man from Affies. Then Olivier was one of them. He played fly-off and went on to play for the Bulls junior teams as well.
That period of 2000 and 2003, the Bulls team that had the likes of PSPs, Wynand Olofia, who would obviously, I would have the honor to playing with them, but they were just, again, players that when you watched them playing, you knew they were destined for bigger things.
When you look back at the Bulls' history with all of that guys like Bakkies, Verriede, Priya, so it's something special if you wear the Bulls badge on your chest.
Harry Botha,
Olivier,
Francois Hougaard,
Faf de Klerk,
Kabous Elof, a very strong forward.
Verriede, Bakkies, Victor,
PSP's and Wynand Olivier, Verriede Priya.
Johan Jansen van Rensburg, what a player.
Coaching players with that kind of talent, it's very easy. Everything they do is important for them, even if it's tying their shoelaces, preparing for the game, on the field, off the field.
Games that stood out for me in Craven Week personally is 2012 when we won it. I was conditioning coach then, and we played against Western Province in the first game, and we were almost everybody thought we won't go through because Henry Pollard, so Sam Mills and those guys played for the Western Province team, and we had an absolute great start to the game, and we won that game. The first game we played the Pumas, and the next one it was tight, and then we absolutely smashed the Lions in the final. That only because it was a great team, and you know, when you win that first one against Western Province, you're almost set for, we believe in our structures now, and the guys, they were great players like I just mentioned.
The 2012 team was actually very special in regards to a Bull setup, you know, very, very good combinations, very good players. And
one of the biggest boys ever was obviously R.G. Snyman.
He's an absolute freakish athlete. I call them absolute athletes. He's quick, he's mobile, he's explosive, he's strong, he stays injury-free. He's just an all-round great player that you need in your team. And then you've got the heart and the head that's also cool, and he's clever, he can think.
Players that was in that side is Diane van der Westhuizen, who played for the Bulls, Hiron Andrews, who played for the Sharks, Bobby de Weer, and then Justin Phillips, who played for the Western Province and the Stormers, Rhino Exien, who was at the Stormers as well, with the halfbacks, and then Johan Jansen van Rensburg, who played for the Lions, Ivan van Zyl and R.G. Snyman. So it was a very, very skillful side right through, and they did well on that Craven Week. From the first game on until the final, I think we beat the Lions 47-0 at that stage.
Yeah, I watched that game as a small boy, and today I'm playing with a few of that guys who still played in 2012, like Rowan Jansen van Rensburg, and I know a few guys who was at Gasfontein, like George Lee, Rasmus, Ethan Sias, Hayden Andrews, who's playing at the Sharks. They've all played in that 2012 team. As a young boy coming up, grade 9, grade 8, to listen to them all these stories, how special Craven Week was just to win that final. So for me it was, I didn't came there to win the final, but it was always my dream to come into that final, but I think it's something really special.
It's very important for the Welcome Bulls, obviously, to have a very strong Craven Week team. I think the last couple of years we've sort of struggled in the Craven Weeks.
I've been in environments where we say winning is not a nice to have, but it's part of the product. But winning is ultimately why we're in the sport. Never at the compromise of relationships or at the compromise of the way we treat people, but winning is really important. So for Bulls teams to get into finals, to get into Craven Weeks, again, they're representing not the under-18 Bulls team, they're representing the Bulls. And that's, like I said, it's a union that's very acquainted with winning, loves winning, needs to continue to win. So it's a pressure that we have to embrace, enjoy it and make the most of it.
Always wanted to win, but it's all up to you in the team. How you bring your talent, your hard work to the team in combining with the others. Because everybody wants to be an SS Schools player, but first you gotta do your job at Craven Week first.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, to play in that final, because a lot of guys in that final will be chosen for SS Schools.
Here in the Bulls country, I think what what always has been a strength of ours is that we've had an abrasive forward pack, and our backs obviously weren't, at the quality of some of the other provinces. It's been kind of tough to get to the finals, but I mean, you've got to understand that there's so many good teams, and just because people hear border, they think, I think they mirror it to what the senior Currie Cup team is, and it's nowhere close to that, because there really is some good teams in those regions.
I attended every single Craven Week, Round Como and Senior Craven Week, I think since 2011, as the recruitment manager and the person who had to go out and make sure that I bring in boys to the school who's going to contribute eventually for the school. Players which I looked after over the years, which started with Garsfontein, guys like Ambrose Papier, Diego Apollos, currently Rowan Klute, Carlton Bunnies. So together with the help of one of our big rugby boys, Johan Duplessis, we then accommodate them at home, and I look after them at home.
I come from a small town called Lambert's Bay in the West Coast. It was quite difficult at first to leave my family back home and to start a new journey. And when I first came, I didn't know anyone, but I've made a few friends, and so it started to ease in.
Coca-Cola Hero of the Day, and this is the prize that we hand over to the guy that really turns it on for their team, and that today is the scrum half, Ambrose Papier.
Little jumper, now here goes Papier. Oh, brilliant work from him. Great offload as well. What a try this is going to be.
X Factor. We'll do something special every match.
We'll keep defenders guessing.
Patience wanted here. Papier swings to De Beer, the inside ball.
The X factor that he's got is second to none.
It's absolute pure talent.
He's a real hard worker.
His kicking, his passing, his organisation on defence.
And strong for a very, very small boy like that.
He's gifted with talent, he's willing to work hard. If you combine those two things, anything's possible, really.
The way Lubber now breaks. Nordia, around comes De Beer. This releases Loubser. Infield to Stedman Gans. Going for the line. Brilliant.
A lot of guys from the Boland came up, so I just see it as an opportunity for them. I think it's not a bad thing. Rugby is a big thing here in Pretoria. Everyone is so passionate about rugby, as well as Cape Town, but I think the facilities and everything is just great here.
How do you know that the guy's got a talent and he's going to perform eventually or become something? I think you first have to know what's the culture of your school. You can't just bring in good players and they can't fit into the system. understand the work ethics. The important thing is you're going to a school, and academics is the most important thing at that school. And for Garsfontein, that is most important.
Coach Gustav he's a great person. He helped me a lot, not just on the field as a rugby player, but also off the field. And I think he's doing a great job just to get a lot of young guys who wants to achieve more in life.
The good thing about Garsfontein is that they really have got a good structure that's working there, and I work closely with the coaches. And you know, when we travel to some of the Craven weeks or wherever it is, we tend to travel together, funny enough. And they've got you know, a good knack of understanding which boys to sort of encourage to come to their school, and they've tended to do well. So it's a good sign that comes from a school like that.
We've got a few very good rugby schools. Office, Waterkloof, Boys High. Fall back at Boys High now. They will be being stronger every year. Menlo as well, I forgot about them. They're also very strong. And then important, there's always in Blue Bull country a school, a Centurion, a Alderaan, a Montana is coming through with a package. It's competitive.
Us as a union have been able to really incorporate you know, the schools that have got talent, and we've been able to sort of get good support, and that's something that's been important to me as a coach at St. Albans.
When a school like Affie's, Pretoria Boys, Menlo Park are doing well, obviously us as a Vodacom Bulls will benefit from that, and because you want schools that have a winning culture to come to the Vodacom Bulls and actually bring it together, because you'll always have one or two players coming from outside, but if you've got a strong spine in your team, and that's homegrown boys, they'll always honor the culture and also keep it in a unique way, because they've got more brand affiliation towards the team.
Just to acknowledge the work that those coaches do at that level. I think it's, we can easily take it for granted, you know, but sometimes they get guys. I'm thinking about at Pretoria Boys High, half our under 14, 18 was guys who've never played rugby before. They were soccer players, and in 5 years' time, able to teach them the skills of rugby that they can represent the Bulls or another union or go play varsity cup is massive, you know. So there's young coaches who are coming through a system like Mzwaki Nkosi, who's now playing, who's coaching at the Lions, and Vessel du Plessis, who's coming here. So it's almost just to say to those guys, they must just keep at it because their work is not going unnoticed, you know. We're hoping that some of these appointments that are being made now will let them just feel like their work is appreciated for a fact, and that hopefully they can get rewarded at a high level. But their work is second to none.
We've got a lot of good school coaches. That's very important.
Reno joining Affie's is it just indicates how committed they are to getting that program running and really getting sort of that ethos of you know, Affie's back to the top of the competition, I think.
At Office, we play basically all the top schools week in and week out, and different festivals. We've changed a lot in regarding our mindset regarding conditioning. What we see is conditioning and intensity and workload and stuff like that. You must be aware of the amount of rugby schoolboys play these days and the intensity of the games. I think it's really improved and increased the last 5 years. So that's also a massive concern for us. And then just basically a bit of a new thinking of doing rugby. How do we coach? What do we coach? How many weight or time do we spend on certain aspects of the game? It's not really rocket science. It's just a different mindset.
Affie's are a really, really good rugby school. And I'd like to say something about them. I ref their 9th team, the 8ths and 9ths against our guys. They've got some unbelievable rugby players. They are a good rugby school, and I think with Yaku and Reno, they're going to be very difficult to beat. There's no doubt in my mind.
Paul Anthony coming back to the union is it's sort of a blessing in disguise, because with the knowledge and just the passion that he has for schoolboy rugby, I think that will lift up the spirit, because he then influences what happens at Boys High. And I think Pretoria Boys High's success does indirectly also mirror what the Bulls do at the Craven Weeks.
Yeah, Paul Anthony is one of a kind, a very successful high school coach who then goes on to coach junior age groups at the Bulls and win many trophies here, and then go to the Sharks and coach Super Rugby successfully there, to come back to Pretoria Boys High and also to the province of the Bulls and give value to that school system, is you can't articulate the amount of value that a man like that brings to the system. So we are very fortunate to have a guy like that back at the school. And like you say, I mean, if he's coaching Mr. Greg Huttenkamp, who's now the headmaster at Boys High, it lets you know the rich history and the amount of lives he's impacted along the way.
I wasn't actually returning to Pretoria because Mhlanga is an amazing place to live. I was returning to Pretoria Boys High School, and nothing had changed. Physically, it had got better. But I was still a bit unsure about the boys themselves, because a lot of people had said the boys have changed in the 11 years that you've been away. And when these kids came down for practice, and I began to speak to them, I felt they're the same kids. I felt that we can do so well with these kids because they just want to get better. And I knew immediately we would crack on, and I think we have.
It's very important for us as a Welcome Bulls that our culture from the seniors goes straight down to schoolboy rugby, and that's important. That's why it was actually quite good to have one or two of our senior coaches assisting that. It helps encourage the young boys to see that they're actually getting the coaching of a high standard, and obviously it's also a mentorship type of role to assist the school coaches in seeing what are the new trends in sport. That had a big influence in the success last year.
But if that's the way we want to build the culture, then we work on picking players like that. Because you've got so many kids around you. I mean, if you can develop a culture within a team, so you will win. If you don't have a culture, you have got trouble.
Your first team coach and your results at schoolboy level is the results of your rugby program.
When I meet with parents and I sit down with them, that is where I focus on discipline and because you can't be not a disciplined boy.
Those oaks are breeding not just rugby players, but breeding young men who will make a positive impact on society.
So if you get the players in, you have to get the culture with it. And you have to stamp that culture onto the players. That Bulls team in particular, and the ones before, we worked very hard on a Bulls culture and pride with each other. And it wasn't going to be a Menlo Park, Waterkloof, Garsfontein, Pretoria, North thing. It was going to be Bulls. It was simple as that. There was, you were in as the Bulls or you were out. There's no disparity. This is how it works. And once the players buy into that, and it's the right stuff you're giving them, there's no iffy stuff. It's you on time for training. You know, you fold your shirt and you place it neatly in the pile. You know, you respect it. You respect your partner here. You respect the player who's playing against you. You don't celebrate a try, you celebrate with the team. Those are the culture things that you bring into a thing. And I think that team, we built it up. I'd say, Jimmy and myself, over 3-4 years, we built a wonderful culture. Because remember, I had those kids from under 16, PSPs, and them all came through those ranks.
I think that's something that was almost got right last year. And you know, you'd have to take your hats off to the coaches of the Bulls Craven Week team. They really took time to prepare, which meant that instead of preparing closer to the Craven Week in the same year, they started their preparations, we're talking the year before. And that isn't commonly known or done. And with that, you sort of grow your squad. And I think there's belief, and it's not just come for trials. And having an influence of everything being trained here at Loftus, and you having the involvement of the Super Rugby coaches, and there's almost a good connection. And you can see by the way the Bulls team played last year at Craven Week that there's a lot of similarities to the Super Rugby side.
So that was one of the big drive focus points for us to get unity and to put the pride back in that blue jersey. That was one of our drives in 2019. Then we played in the final against Western Province, and up till half-time we were in it. Yes, we lost the game at the end, but we had one of our aims was to put the pride back into the Blue Bulls jersey, and I think we achieved that, yes.
There's the pass out by Flask, now into space. One man to beat it, he does it! Fajma Bed to the mats, Boff putting out the stats. Stratum, oh my word, it stuck to his hand! AJ Johnson, the man with glue on his grip. Mostert again. Flask, the man with the skills, Gerardo Flask, the Rolls Royce in blue!
From myself, Welke Koch, to the class of 2020, I absolutely believe there will come something good out of this. We wanted to have a Craven Week and take the next step. Yes, we were sad, but now we're looking forward. We wanna achieve stuff next year or the year after that. Take something out of this, make it your own, and invest it into the future.
For us at Border, to go to a Craven Week and to know that there is literally nothing to lose.
That's one thing about the Border guys is they will match most provinces up physically.
We're a little union, but we punch above our weight. If you ask anyone on my math, they'll probably tell you I'm better at coaching.
What do you want me to start? It's incredible what they could have had. It really is incredible. They've had a team. I mean, there's a 10, 12, 13 returning. They've got a wing.
Having 11 guys who had already experienced that was a really strong spine with which to build our team around.
And I think they could have surprised a lot of people. I really think so.